Evening, good night actually. So I was watching The Hangover last time, and because of the lewdness of the movie, I thought that I wasn't going to get anything out of it, right? There was just no way. But in fact, I actually got a lot out of this movie, a lot of awesome, wonderful revelation information that I want to share with you. So the first thing that I got was the fact that there are obviously direct and very obvious consequences for doing the wrong thing, for not having moderation and balance in our life. These four friends, after they got drunk, the next day they had some serious consequences. The first thing that was obvious was that their whole the hotel where they were staying at was just completely messed up, right? So they had to pay for all of that. Then they noticed the tiger, and the tiger had to be taken care of, and then they lost their friend, and then they had a whole big adventure of looking for their friend. Their friend was in trouble. Of course, there was a marriage there that was not supposed to be there. One of the guys got punched in the face. They found a baby that they had to bring back to his parents, and basically one of them was in the hospital, and they were just not having a good time afterwards. Serious consequences, right? Every time we do something that is not the will of God, that is not the way that we should be doing it, especially not having balance and moderation in all things, will get us into trouble. Either big trouble or little trouble, the consequences will be there. It's kind of just kind of obvious. It's just placed there. Second thing that I noticed was that God gives grace to people. How did I figure that out? Well, remember at the end of the movie, even though they had all those serious consequences, they still were almost blessed. I mean, they had 80 grand with them going home. They had free clothes just driving on the freeway. Somebody gave them free clothes, remember, to get to the wedding. They got to the wedding on time, and the wife of the guy who was getting married, she just forgave him. They found their friend, and everything was just fine at the end. Well, I don't know if that really happens in real life, but in God's world it sure does. I remember one old pastor of mine who told me that in the Old Testament, before, what would happen is every time somebody sinned, they would get in big trouble for that. God would forgive them, but they had serious consequences that were just indisplaceable. And nothing was really forgotten. Remember, in the Bible it says, an eye for an eye, an ear for an ear. You got what you deserved, always. Remember David, who sinned against the Lord, even though he was completely forgiven, he still had serious consequences in his lifetime. Now, in the New Testament, it's not like that. What happens is you don't just get forgiven. Your stuff, sins that you did, actually get forgotten, and you go to the same places where you sinned, and people don't even remember that you did that. That's what the pastor of mine said, that he would go back to all the places where he would steal, and they just didn't remember that he even stole from them. It was very fascinating. And what happens is that God, He turns around our evil, the evil that we do, and He replaces it with good. He actually blesses us instead of the evil that we did. It's like this trading that we do on the cross. We give Him our shit. We give Him our sins. We give Him the evil stuff that we did, no matter what it is, and He replaces it with good. He turns around everything evil for good. He makes the situations better. That's really, really hard to understand, because we live in a world where we deserve everything we get. We do something, we work, and we get paid for it. We break something, we have to pay for it. Everything is by deserving. But it's a little different, because on the cross He actually paid for all our sins so that we don't have to pay for them. We get blessings in return, because He has become poor for our prosperity. Remember, He has died for our sins, and He was punished for our sicknesses. And there's so many things that we don't deserve, so many blessings that we don't deserve, that He has paid for on the cross. Oh, from this movie. Now, the third thing that I noticed was that people who don't have love in their hearts, bad people, you might say, they don't have tolerance for the weak people of this world. Here's what I mean. When the four guys saw the baby in the closet, right, in their hotel, they did not really care for the baby. Yeah, they tried to bring him to his parents, but they didn't really, like one of them was like, whose fucking baby was that? There was no tolerance. And I remember when one of the guys, he pushed the chicken off the counter looking for something. They don't really have any tolerance, Sometimes I don't have tolerance for people that are insecure, for people that are slow to listen, slow to understand. It's easy to just not have patience with them and even be mean to them sometimes and take them for granted. But looking at how these people acted with all those people, like even the Asians, remember, at the end, they didn't really have respect and tolerance for them. And the last thing that I noticed was that oftentimes people fall into two different categories when it comes to confidence. One is that they're either extremely proud and obnoxious with a big ego, or they are completely insecure and they don't believe in themselves. So either they put themselves down or they put others down. There's a delicate balance that very little, not a lot of people even have in the world, of just pure confidence and humility mixed in together. People always fall into either being proud or insecure. So that's all the things that this movie reminded me of. Hope that wasn't too confusing again. And it was a very funny movie with a lot of lewdness in it, but the Lord is living inside of you, and you believe in Him and you love Him. He just teaches you everywhere you go, with every movie that you watch. So, good night, everybody.